Welcome everyone on our monthly event organized by Women Power Up Network. This month, we are discussing Enable Leadership for Sustainability. And this is a collaborative event with IAPM. It's my pleasure to introduce Linda from AIPM. Linda, say hi.
Hello.
Hey,
Thank
hi.
you for this chance to have this collaborative event. It's a great thing, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Thank you, Linda. We also have our leads on this call today. Cecilia, our Latin America lead, Grace, our Africa region lead. I am a Europe lead, and we also have Megana, our We Mentor lead, and Anuj, our newsletter editor. Leads, can you please say hi to all?
Hi, everyone. Greeting from Buenos Aires, Argentina.
And Grace is smiling. Hi, Grace.
Hi, Mariana. Hi, all. I'm Grace Johnson from Nigeria. I'm the Africa region lead. Thank you for joining us.
And Megana, would you like to say something short?
Yep. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Meghna. I take care of the mentorship program for We Power Up. And welcome again. And it's going to be an amazing event today.
Thank you. Thank you. And as you all know, and we are using Menti to so you can tell us where are you from, where you joined, from where are you joining us, and the number for this question is 366. I will put it in chat. 366 3556, and please tell us where you're from. And while you do that, there are some housekeeping rules. We are all here to celebrate women leadership, and we are all speaking on individual capacity. Our views expressed here do not in any way represent the organization that we work for. This meeting is being recorded, so if you are uncomfortable in any way, please feel free to hop out of the event. If not, you are welcome to join our celebration. Before our community updates, I hand over the session to Linda to talk a little bit about IAPM.
Thank you very much. So, as already mentioned, my name is Linda Ottmann, and I am the representative of the IAPM today for this event. And the IAPM is short for International Association of Project Managers, and it's both a certification body for project managers as well as a network organization for them. As a certification body, we offer different certifications in traditional, agile, and international project management, and we have different levels, and you can see our different certification levels at the bottom of the page as the badges. Yes, the focus of the IAPM is on the human beings of the project manager within projects. And for a network organization, we have networks for all over the world. So we have in the different parts of the world networks, we have our volunteers, the so-called network officials, and they are the representatives of their region, and they can be contacted, and yes, they are our valuable volunteers. Yes, we have also social partners and corporate partners. So for example, a social partner is the Women Power Up Network. So we have joint events, so like today, which is great. We have corporate partners for writing white papers, for example, or training partners. And we are especially proud of our academic partnerships. So we offer students, for example, the chance to find interview partners or to share their service with our network and to give them discounts on our certifications that they can start with a certification in their business life. And you can visit our website, it's iapm.net, to find out more, or follow us on LinkedIn. There we are quite active. And every month we share our so-called IAPM magazine with all the updates from the month. So it's quite similar to the monthly update of the Women Power Up network. So everything which happened the past month is, yes, it's in this IAPM magazine. Yes, that's the IAPM in a nutshell.
Okay, so Mariana, should I go ahead with the community updates?
Yes,
You're
please.
okay. Okay, so yes, this is something that we keep reminding us ourselves always. What is our vision, mission, and values? So we are not a business, and we are a community with a purpose. And of course, we have around 800 women in our community today, which is like we have a Facebook group, we have a LinkedIn group. And just as Linda said, IAPM is a networked organization. We are also attempting to become a networked organization. So far, we have just taken some small baby steps. And we truly believe that, you don't really need to be an expert to power each other up. Being good enough is just amazing. And of course, when we do that, we definitely power each other up, which is we power up. And together we rise. And yeah, our vision is to empower and with the right support, the right skill to transform the future. And right now we are just providing this platform to enhance our leadership qualities. And that is pretty much about our community. And to give more updates on the community, I would, what we did like last month, I would request Cecilia to talk about the event that went by last month. So Cecilia, over to you.
Thank you, Priya. Last month, we have a conversation about women in project management. I talk about my research in female leadership in project management, and Hilary Kine talk about her book and how to use project management practices for parents. So it was, I think it was a very, very interesting talk. And we had people from, I'm sorry, we have available the recording of this session you can see in our YouTube channel. And we have people for several countries: Italy, United States, Slovenia, Peru, Ecuador, United States, India, Spain, Washington, D.C. area, and Argentina, because myself was in the meeting too. And Fanny, the art of Fanny, recorded all the main ideas we had at the session, and this is the takeaways of that session. Thank you, Fanny, for this great art.
And with this, I think, Mariana, over to you to introduce the panels and take it over. You are on mute, Mariana.
So it's great that we have camera. Today we are talking about sustainability and how to enable leadership for it. Sustainability is important, was and will be even more. We are often worried about the future of our planet, how to maintain or improve the state and availability of desirable materials or conditions over the long term. It is important to know that each individual can contribute to improving the sustainability goals. Sustainability is often broken into three core concepts or sustainability pillars: economic or corporate, social, and environmental. Many businesses and governments have committed to sustainable goals, such as reducing their environmental footprints and conserving resources. And we need to hear what the sustainability experts have to say about it. We are welcoming 3 women panelists, and each one will talk about one of the sustainability pillars. Linda will open the first panelist discussion. Linda, please.
Thank you, Mariana, for your introduction. Let's start with the first pillar, the corporate sustainability, and with our panelist, Neve. She will introduce herself briefly, and then we will start with the questions.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I'm Neve, and I'm from Mauritius. Right now, it's 6 o'clock in the evening, so that's like good evening. So I'm a lecturer. I'm a senior lecturer in accounting and finance at the University of Mauritius, and I do extensive research on corporate social responsibility and sustainability. And my research is mostly geared about understanding the process that companies have been going through, and with respect to embedding sustainable practices within their organization. So that's just briefly about myself and what I do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we can just start with the first question. So can you please explain to us what is corporate sustainability?
I mean, when we talk about corporate sustainability, there's a wide range of definition which can come forward. Some see it as only being part of a department within an organization. But in very simple terms, corporate sustainability simply represents, I think, all the actions, all the efforts that organizations, that businesses are deploying so that they can actually transition from focusing on the bottom line to what we call the triple bottom line. We've been talking about businesses focusing on profits, but not only on profit or on being economically viable, but also along way take on social and environmental endeavors. So altogether, we have 3 goals of being financially viable, social, and environmentally responsible. So corporate sustainability for me, and as from the literature, would mean that.
Okay, thank you very much. So now let's go to the second part of our title, the leadership. So what competencies must a leader acquire to be prepared to make the company more sustainable?
I think right now we're finding a huge challenge because there's a big, we're talking about grand challenges worldwide. We're talking about nations having to embed sustainable development goals. We're talking about governments having to take action and businesses having to take action. But when we talk about sustainability, and I think that's one of the key thing that came out from the introduction, is being sustainable can start at all levels. And leaders from businesses, I'm talking mostly from a business perspective, leaders are what I would say are agents of change. They can bring along this change in mindset because they are influencers. They influence the decision-making that happens at the level of boards. So as leaders, I think, I've put down a list of trait or characteristic that would make leaders kind of better prepared to take on the challenge of sustainability, of being sustainable. And I think one of them, what I've found from research in Mauritius, especially centered in Mauritius, is leaders have to be forward-looking. They need to have this vision that actually and believe. They need to not only have a vision, but they also need to believe in sustainability. All right, being sustainable needs to become not only some kind of, we're only doing a PR exercise, but it needs to become as part of the strategy, as the DNA of the organization. So first of all, the leader himself needs to believe, to have strong belief and values with respect to sustainability. And I think this is one of the key elements that has come forward with many of the conversations I've had with the sustainability manager. Because for the leader, for the CEO to support you, to support the organization, to support the chief sustainability officer, there's a need for himself to believe that the organization is moving in that particular direction of being sustainable. Not only does he needs to be to believe in that, he needs to be forward-looking, has this vision, but he needs to be committed. not only have a lot of great ideas and projects, but needs to be committed with respect to the resources, to the people that he's going to have with him to be able to embark on this sustainability journey. And we need a supportive leader, a committed leader, a leader with a vision, but also we need a leader who's open up to innovate, because we found post-COVID that there's a big movement towards sustainability. There's a pressing need to be more sustainable, but leaders are changing the way they're doing things. There's a need to bring that change. And leaders, I think, like I mentioned earlier on, need to have this particular characteristic of being, drivers of change, agents of change, yes.
Okay, thank you very much for this quite insightful answer. Now I want to go on to projects and project management. So projects are very important in most businesses. And we asked ourselves if it makes sense to start making a project or one project group more sustainable and then implement the sustainability from the project to the whole company, or does it make sense to start from the top and make the top more sustainable and then go on to the further projects? What do you think about this?
I'm currently working with quite a big conglomerate in Mauritius, and I did have this particular discussion with one of the, I would say, the chief officers there, and the answer that came got me really thinking. And he spoke from a business perspective, and he said that, you know, it cannot be, we cannot see the business world as being black and white. All right, we will not be able to stop the business, stop what we're doing, do a particular project, make it sustainable, or make our processes sustainable, and then move to the next level. All right. So what they do, and this I think is something which is very practice driven, is it's a parallel process. At the same, because businesses are already engaged into their strategy, already engaged into their processes. They cannot just stop everything and become sustainable or engage into sustainability. But what they try to do is they try to bring the mainstream strategy and the sustainability strategy to move in parallel, and at the same time bring that kind of change which is expected from them.
All right, thanks. You have talked so much about leaders and in sustainable businesses, but if you need to put this in a nutshell, what's the differences between a sustainable leader and a traditional leader? So are there a few words just to describe the differences?
I think the sustainable leader, I would say, or the leader who's promoting sustainability would be that leader who's got this vision. Not only the vision, but that leader who knows that for its own survival and the survival of its business, it will need to take on this particular challenge, and not only see the change as a challenge, but see the change of being sustainable as full of opportunities. And I think this is what we can see in many businesses. I mean, I can speak for Mauritius, but what I've seen is those business leaders who had this vision, who actually thought, okay, in a few years' time, we will need to change the way we've been doing business and reduce our negative impact. So those were those leaders who were different from those that didn't make that particular change or were not forward-looking into what was lying ahead. So I think this is a key characteristic, a key differential component between the mainstream leaders and those that try to embed sustainability.
All right. And the leader, should this leader be the Chief Sustainability Officer, or what do you think about this position? You have mentioned this officer quite a few times. So do you think each company should have this Chief Sustainability Officer, or does it make more sense to have more leaders who have an idea of sustainability and just skip the sustainability officer, or what do you think about this?
I think the leader at the top of the organization will have this vision about how he wants the business to go forward with respect to sustainability. But to be able to bring it to operationalize sustainability, the CEO will need to have a team of people who are qualified. Not only, when I mean by qualified, it doesn't mean only a knowledge of sustainability, but people with technical expertise. Because right now when we're talking about sustainability, we're talking about environmental challenges, we're talking about energy crisis, we're talking about so many different aspects where it's quite hard to find one particular person who has got all these particular skills. So what I think personally, what I've seen that works is the CEO has this particular vision of being sustainable, or this particular commitment, takes the commitment of being sustainable, but then he has a team of people. You can have the chief sustainability officer who's there to kind of manage the team of people and help with respect to attaining that goal, but there's a need for a team. I would say a need of people who are experts with respect to sustainable goals, attainment of sustainable goals. And something which is very important as well, and something which I keep on saying, is every organization is different. All of them are working towards this idea of being socially viable, environmentally viable. At the end of the day, the significance for each one of them will be different, and the moves that they need to make, the strategies, the adjustment to their processes will need to be different, such that this team, of course, the composition of this team will differ as well. I would just take a quick example. In Mauritius, we have a lot of hotels, and hotels have been extensively affected by COVID. And we know hotels also have a large carbon footprint and negatively impact the environment. So the need of the chief sustainability officer would be very different from one who's in charge of a company which deals with chemicals. So I personally think the chief sustainability officer could be that change agent who guides the team with respect to the sustainability goals of the organization.
Okay, and speaking of hotels and the tourism branch, what do you think? Which industries are the pioneers in Mauritius or worldwide, maybe, in terms of corporate sustainability?
You know, I think when talking about which industries really are the pioneers, I wouldn't say they're pioneers. I would say a lot of these industries were compelled actually to bring the change. And these were if we go back into history and look at the different literature and scholarship, what we find is these were the companies that had a negative impact on the environment. They were the first ones that were forced to that were compelled to bring on the change needed to change the processes, to be more environmental friendly. So they were the ones that I think personally were these industries that made the change at first.
Okay, that's really interesting. Thank you for that. So these were our questions, but I guess the questions from the participants are quite more interesting. So do you also have some questions to ask Niamh, because she's an expert in the sustainability in corporate sector? And I think if you have any questions, you should ask them now, that she can answer those. And I'm not sure if in the chat, if somebody wrote something or.
We don't have any questions in chat. So I guess you can also speak up and also unmute, tell us what you are interested in.
Try to break the ice a little bit. So very interesting perspective, Nivedita. One thing I would like to understand, and which I am not very familiar with in the corporate sector, but much more on the personal side of things, that's something I'm passionate about, is what is the role governments have to play? Are there regulations that you see being formed? Do you think these things help? What's been your experience like?
I think, thank you for your question. That's a very good question, because in Mauritius, we don't have actually a national sustainability framework. All right. But we have a lot of countries which actually have such a framework. And the framework is like just a photo frame. It provides the kind of references that companies, that businesses, that NGOs, all into this, when embarking onto the sustainability journey, need this kind of support to know in which direction to go. For example, the government needs to be able to take commitment, for example, with respect to energy, which renewable energy, CO2 emission, reduction of CO2 emission. So this is something which should come from the head, the nation itself, the government. And then each and every organization should be working towards this. But when the government takes the commitment, then policies are happening, regulations come into place. And one thing which I think I've found in Mauritius as well is we have a no plastic law in Mauritius, where you can't use plastic, all right? But what happened with this is it's a great regulation to have. And it's for businesses, it came as a shock for them. They were not prepared for that because there was at no point in time any goals which was put down. So it was just a commitment that the government's taken, but without any kind of support for any businesses. And when I mean businesses, big businesses, small businesses, so they were at a loss with respect to that. So I personally believe countries where there are such framework, at least there's a guide there. There's kind of framework which helps them when they need advice, when they need expertise, this is where they can actually go to. And I think governments, yes, governments, we have the COP27 right now. There's a lot of commitments being taken, but we just don't want them to die there. If we have such a framework, then these commitments actually go to that particular framework, and then it funnels down to the organization, and it funnels down and it's operationalized. And this is the most important thing, because at the end of the day, we want it to come at our level, individual level, project manager level, sustainability manager level, where actually we can make the change happen. And this is the kind of support that we need.
Thank you.
So Mariana, I have posted a question for Nivedita.
Oh, let me read this. So does having women on board helps in improving our impact on sustainability?
Yes, I can say yes, strongly about that. I'm currently have the opportunity to be an independent director on the board of a bank, an international bank in Mauritius. And I'm the only female director on the board, first thing. But one of the reasons why they've taken me on board is for me to be able to bring my ESG knowledge there, my sustainability knowledge there, because when decisions are taken and when we are when at the board level decisions come where the loan should be given out and all these things, right now we find that there is more and more concerns. There is more and more this need to be able, I'm not, like I said, I'm no expert in energy, but I would bring forward my point of view about the sustainability dimension of that particular proposal that they've come at the level of the board. And I think this is extremely important. And I think having, be it men or women, with knowledge of sustainability is key right now. And there is a movement right now about having board members with knowledge of ESG.
Great, thank you for your answer. And do we have any more questions? I guess not. So Linda, thank you. We are moving to our second panelist. Thank you also to Nive. It was a really interesting discussion. And we are now moving to social sustainability. And I am introducing our second panelist, Natalia Wiedermeyer. can you please turn on the camera first and say hi, tell us a few words about yourself and why are you so passionate about social sustainability?
Thank you. Thank you very much for this kind introduction and for the opportunity to be here today with you and to share also my perspective. I'm a business owner of Gravi Teams, and Gravi Teams is a management consulting firm that Gravi Team stands for Gravity in Teamwork, which is working with organizations and teams and help their teams to perform better. I help project teams, I help leadership teams, I help small organizations to do better. And this is my passion, working with people and get the best out of people. So being a project manager and a coach, I give more value, or it's also the focus that I see is not only on the processes or on the technical expertise, because people who are in those positions, that's usually what they have. But what's important, people do not neglect, but they just think it's a, you know, like a self-going thing, how we act and how we interact with each other, but it is not. And this is something that can make real difference. And that's why I'm so passionate about how us people can make things happen and how can we make it together. And yeah, so and then coming to this social aspect of sustainability, I think it's one maybe the least understood and the least talked about, and maybe we can uncover a little bit, and please do ask questions so we can really get into, you know, understanding what it is and what is the third aspect. So there, you were already, you know, talking about the triple bottom line. This is social, environmental, and profits aspects of organizational bottom line, and this is the social aspect. If you take, you know, the 3 E's, the environmental, ecological, economical, and ethical sustainability. So we are talking about ethical. How do we define it? So obviously it's what we as humans do, and it goes beyond what we as humans, so we as leaders do to, I don't know, decrease pollution, or to make positive impact on I don't know, keeping the temperature rise at bay, or developing new technologies. This is, we just talked about. But what social aspect is giving, it's creating healthy communities and creating the possibility for everyone to be contributing to the better world, let's say, right? So it's the abilities, that's the value, and that's the mindset that we are bringing to it. And to make it more, maybe to bring it closer to you, which aspects, what would it incorporate? So it's the distribution of wealth, right, on the larger scale. This is the distribution of rights, the welfare, the women inclusion, right, the gender equality. That's the representation of less represented communities. This is the possibility for indigenous people to thrive, creating for them opportunities. This is the distribution of food, of water, of supplies. This is something that, you know, like was a big topic on COP27 this year, because that's, you know, like high time for that. Many large corporates, as well as rich countries, they think they are doing something, right? Or they do a lot, actually. It's not that they're doing something, they're doing a lot. But the poor countries that actually struggle because of the effect of this climate change and of this whole environmental mess that we as humanity has gotten us into, we are in that all together. It's at the end of the day, it's only one Earth. And if we do not help poorer or more affected regions of this Earth to not only to survive, but to thrive, We are not going to solve any of that. We have droughts, we have bushfires, we have floods, we have hurricanes, right? So this is all comes into this aspect of social sustainability and how we can act on that. So
thank you, Natalia. So what does it mean to be a sustainable leader in the sense of social sustainability?
Right. So we are talking about what is a sustainable leader in the term of social sustainability. I will not repeat myself and what Niamh already had said about the vision, the drive, the technical knowledge. So I will go a little bit more on these broad aspects that I do work with organizations, companies, leaders. I work on sustainability mindset, right? And sustainability mindset is a reference frame, you know, like if we are saying growth mindset, it's not in specific situation that we are thinking, okay, now I can learn something and now I just have this is just the way I am, right? So people that have growth mindset, they tend to be more flexible in their ability to learn, to respond to challenges, to not be discouraged in certain situations, to be open to feedback on the growth mindset. And there is this framework, believe it or not, there's this framework, sustainability mindset. A dear mentor of mine, Isabel Rimanocci, she's an Argentinian, she's American now, but she's originally Argentinian. She has wrote a book and developed this concept of sustainability mindset, and she's doing a lot of this work for education. So she teaches at university students sustainability mindset. And I do it for businesses, I do it for organizations, and it goes beyond the vision and beyond the technical knowledges. So there are 4 aspects to this mindset. That's the ecological worldview. First of all, it's eco-literacy at education, that we know, you know, what that actually is, where it comes from, and how bad it is, let's say. That we don't say, oh, I don't believe in climate, or I don't think it's possible, or I don't think green energy is required in any case, because it would mean that poor countries cannot develop, because that's the only way, right? So you see, it's really understanding where the challenges are. It's my contribution. How do I personally contribute? Us on individual levels, how do we contribute? How do I personally contribute? I just went, my neighbors are having a party, and I obviously came with my plates, my picnic plates, and not using the single-use plates that everyone else was using, right? This is my contribution. I was very reluctant not to start preaching about sustainability, because that's probably not what people wanted to hear. But many people ask, like, oh, how nice that you brought your own plate so you do not have to produce that much garbage. So we always think in terms of our contribution. What do I do? If I'm an organizational leader, what is my contribution to this business? What is my contribution to the better distribution of wealth in the world? What is my contribution to enabling, empowering each of my team members to do their best, to know about sustainability, but to do your best, you know, like if you give everyone this mindset, everyone is going to be more literate, more thinking of the contribution. There is more. So one thing that I really like, I will not, there are 12 aspects in total, so I will pick just a few just to give you a feeling. One of the aspects that I really, really like to concentrate is the circular economy, because there is no such thing as growth forever. Everything in nature, everything through the entire millions and years of development of civilization is circular. It comes from the nature, it does its life or cycle or whatever, and then it goes back into the nature. And it's just us humans that we think that we have outgrown it, that it's us that we think that GDP can grow forever. You know, that's our measure of how good we are. The only thing in nature that I have found or came across that grows forever is what? Cancer. And what does cancer do? It kills the system that it's part of. That system cannot live if it has cancer. So part of this sustainability mindset is to think in circular ways. What do I take? What do I process? And what do I leave back into this world, and not to become the cancers of humanity and of civilization.
Wow, greatly put. And yes, I personally totally agree with you in each way. And Priya shared with us every small step matters. And sometimes I think that we need rules because it's so hard to think about it and take ownership of these small steps toward better sustainability. And I welcome Lee because I just saw that he joined us. He said he's going to be a bit late. Hi, Lee.
Hi there. Thank you. I'm glad to see everybody here.
So if you have a question, Lee, on social sustainability, we have panelist Natalia Wiedemeyer. You can ask some interesting questions.
So they got all the answers, right?
Yeah.
Nice having you here. It was a very great honor.
All right. I'll see if I can stump you.
Great. So you can put your questions in chat. And I do have one more question. Which industries do you think are pioneers in terms of social sustainability?
All right. So I researched about which industries are pioneers in especially social responsibility. And obviously, again, because we have kind of like divided the topics, I did not want to repeat what corporate sustainability, what Niamh was talking about. So the social responsibility or sustainability goes with social responsibility. That's exactly this contribution to enabling and empowering people to do their job in their own way. So again, you know, like this is, for example, the employment practices, fair employment
Where's
practices.
that from?
This is, for example, the possibility to give those people possibility to save, not only to survive on a wage. This is a possibility to give them health insurance, something like that, you know, to give them more education, to involve them maybe in even strategic decisions making, to create sustainable organizational cultures that can, as a culture, perform their best. And you guys, can you tell me whether you know the B Corporation, B Corp, as organization, as a worldwide global non-profit network that certifies companies in, you can become B Corp certified, right? And one of the very important aspects of this certification is this human aspect, human factor. So many organizations in certain regions where governments do not help, you know, like with the legislation or with the freedom of different, you know, like impose or give different opportunities. Or different companies that maybe, you know, like even kind of like doing a lot on sustainability, like for example, Coca-Cola, you know, they strive for net zero emissions, but net zero, you know, like if you expand your positive emissions and then you just pay for it, you know, like it's not the socially sustainable way, even if it might be, you know, acceptable in terms of paying for some initiatives that are going forward. So many organizations are I found many that are certified for their good social practices. Many of them are in consumer products. Many of them are in food services, but many are in services. I guess in services, it's maybe just easier just because you don't use that many of the earth's resources to produce services. The regional distribution is a lot of in United States. So there are corporations that are good in terms of all three aspects of sustainability, and Europe. So these are, some of them are emerging in Southeast Asia, but these are usually regions that that also have, you know, like at least have the freedom to have inclusion, equal human rights, and other benefits to have a sustainable community.
Talking about sustainable community, do you think that young people are more aware of sustainability?
Young people are more aware because young people have to be, because I mean, older people will only be for another 30, 40, 50 years on this planet, but young people will be here for another 100 years probably. And for them, they are very much aware. My son, he's 10, and he asked me a question that really struck me. He asked me, Mama, do you think they will invent a time machine? I said, why do you ask that? And he said, well, because then they go back into our past and fix the environmental problem. So it is their problem, and that's why young people go out there, because it's their world that older people are leaving to them.
Yes,
Yeah, I have a question, Mariana.
Yes.
So we talked about awareness, right? Young people maybe are more aware, but do they have the sustainability mindset? If not, how do we cultivate them in our children?
So it goes into many aspects of the life, right? So it goes into wanting to do good, and it goes into, first of all, it's this eco-literacy. And again, the how do I contribute? What can I do? And for which businesses do I want to work? Do I want that company represents me? It doesn't represent me, you know? So for younger generations, this value, the aspect of value is very, very important. And again, back to the sustainability mindset, the thing about awareness, self-awareness, and even these more spiritual things like connectedness with the world and with the nature. We are just part of it. We are not above it. And young people, that's taught now. You talk more about it at school, you know. It's important to really connect and to see the blind spots, you know, like, I don't know, using single waste and plastic, and not having healthy eating habits and something. You don't maybe not think that it has to do something with sustainability, but of course it does. So.
Thank you, Natalia. Does anyone else have a question? Okay, so Linda, I think that now we are ready for the third panelist, and I thank Natalia for everything she said, for all the answers and insights. So please, Linda, we can continue.
Thank you, Natalia. So I would like to introduce our last panelist, an expert in the field of environmental sustainability, and it's Tian. And the environmental sustainability part is probably the pillar most people think of when it comes to sustainability. So I'm quite curious about this discussion now. But first of all, Diane will say a few words about herself.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, everyone, for the opportunity. Good night from Indonesia. It's a bit late here. It's 10 p.m. But I'm very excited to share what's on my mind about sustainability in terms of environment. So my name is Dian. I'm a sustainable agribusiness specialist in Indonesia. Currently, I'm a manager for an agribusiness consulting company. I'm also an independent consultant for several institutions, including the UN bodies. I consistently write a scientific article about sustainability, and sometimes give a lecture in universities for my undergrad students about agribusiness and sustainability. Throughout my career, I have managed various projects, particularly sustainable agribusiness and food systems. I am also active in several professional organizations, including the International Food and Agribusiness Management. So I think we can start our discussion about environmental sustainability. I think I have to address that I'm not representing any institution. I'm representing myself. So hopefully my knowledge and experience could help everybody understands more better about environmental sustainability. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you. I'm sure it will. So first of all, I would ask you the same question as before. So can you please explain what is environmental sustainability?
Right. I'd refer a definition from the United Nations Environment Program that defines environmental sustainability involves making life choices that ensure a better way of life for future generations. For me, environmental sustainability aims to improve the quality of human life without putting unnecessary strain on the Earth's supporting ecosystems. It is about creating an equilibrium between consumerist human culture and the living world. I could say, in short, environmental sustainability is responsibility for conserving natural resources and protecting global ecosystems by supporting well-being now and in the future. Because so many decisions that impact the environment are not felt immediately. I think everyone will agree with this part. And the key element of environmental sustainability is its forward-looking nature. It's not about today, it's about the future. And maybe we all know one of the most popular issues, climate change. Well, climate change is just a symptom of the bigger environmental issues. It tells us about our planetary limits. If we cannot resolve it, then we will continue experience ecological disasters. And to avoid it, we have no choice, but we have to take urgent action on environmental sustainability in any aspect in our life. Thank you, Lina.
Yes, I totally agree. So the climate change is a very big challenge for all of us, and that's a really big issue. So before we go on with the leadership part, I wanted to ask you if you can list some of the most important global goals for environmental sustainability.
Well, yeah, thank you. So if we look back in 2015, world leaders had agreed on the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and 17 goals that cut across disciplines, sectors, and institutional mandates. World leaders have affirmed that we are determined to protect the planet from degradation so that it can support the needs for the present and future generations. Well, the so-called SDGs actually has established a universal goals that provide a roadmap for environmental sustainability, especially for areas related to natural resources. For instance, SDG number 12 is about ensuring sustainable consumption and production. This is not only for a conglomerate or a big business that have to responsible to manage the sustainable consumption and production, but each of us as the individual living on the earth, we have to having growth mindset on how to produce and consume our food, our natural resource more sustainable. Another SDG number 13 is about to taking urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts and etc. Well, actually, there are, I think, 17 SDGs. All of those actually, for myself, hopefully not just a white paper, but a commitment and targets that must be achieved by every individual and organization. Well, we actually have seen it though. Environmental movements, coalitions such as food and land use coalitions, net zero carbon coalitions, any movements related to tackle environmental issues. We just need to make sure that everything is on track, and more importantly, make sure that we are involved. Yeah, back to you, Linda.
Thank you very much. So this is about the goals and the general thing, but now I want to go further with the leadership. So because as you have already mentioned, so ecological or environmental sustainability is about the nature and all the stuff around the nature. But what would you recommend to leaders to act in an ecological sustainable way? Because it's within a company. And yes, what are your ideas here and what are your recommendations?
Well, in today's evolving world, debating whether to incorporate environmental sustainability into your project or business strategies, I think it's no longer an option. A values-driven approach to develop project or business strategies can be vital to long-term success if we incorporate environmental sustainability. As we face irreversible changes on the earth, the threat of natural disasters has become too risky to ignore, and we have seen it on depleted natural resources today. And I think as environmentally aware project manager or a business or individual should consider more than just profits. It considers its impact on society and environment. Say, for example, you can reduce your project or business costs by going green, like for using more efficient lighting or electricity, or creatively reusing existing materials that will save your energy and cost. Being environmentally aware also gives you a positive identity. Like going green shows the world that you care more about the earth rather than just making money. Simply put, if you work on environmental sustainability, it gives you many competitive advantages though. And for individual, I think sometimes it can be very overwhelming. Like, how can individual stand up front to really tackle environmental issues? Just to take your daily basis, your daily life, and just act as, I think, as mindful as you can do. And to industry or companies or project management areas, it's not the case for not difficult or hardest part for you, as long as you can be innovative, you can be thinking more sustainably. And I think the biggest issue that we have currently is lack of collaboration between institutions or business management or project management. So when we tackle environmental issues, it's not that individual or institution stand alone. It's a collaborative work. Like, we cannot do it everything by ourselves. We have to work together.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you,
You
Linda.
have already mentioned the projects and that it can make sense to be green because it is more cost efficient, but most people think that being sustainable is more expensive. So maybe it's more expensive to purchase the things which are cheaper, but they are out of plastic, for example. instead of good materials or something. So many people think that being sustainable is very expensive. What would you say to those people, especially in project management?
Right. To answer, yeah, thank you. To answer about the cost, I think from my experience, it's costly, but for the short term. But if we think long-term goals or long-term projects or business, it's not really costly because we are doing business in unpredictable world. Climate change, dwindling natural resources, and ever increasing demands on our energy, food supply has disrupted the way business operating. It is more important than ever for private and public institutions to rethink how they function. We should stick to the idea that environmental sustainability is relevant in any project across all areas. It makes I think it makes a project more agile with any circumstances. For example, if the procurement team in a project seeks opportunities to buy from sustainable resources and to make the supply chain more efficient, project managers or project professionals are responsible for ensuring their work will minimize or ideally positively affects ongoing sustainability. So we have to make sure that what we do will minimize the impacts, or if not, we do positively impacts, things like that. So we are aware aware that environmental sustainability is challenging, I think, for some people or some institutions, but it's something that we as project professionals thinking about it more than before, and change initiatives to proactively alter our behaviors. The way we think about environmental sustainability have to be delivered through environmental sustainable working practices and methods in simple ways. Just start in simple ways, and if there come a bigger project or a bigger business, then we have to use our forest view rather than the tree view. I mean, like we have to see at globally rather than to see each of them, like is there any impact of one of those three? Thank you.
Thanks. Are there any best practices concerning environmental sustainability that we need to keep in mind while executing our projects?
Yeah. Thank you, Linda. I think previous excellent panelists have shared about their idea, like Nive raised about ESG and Natalia raised about circular economy. Those two are, I think, are consistently being raised and discussed in the past years, because we have seen the significant issues in environment, and well, things like circular economy. The circular economy is an evolution of the world that produces and consumes either goods or services. Well, some regions or some countries may not aware that circular economy has to be part of their regulations or policies. In Indonesia, if I could share, in Indonesia, there is no obvious regulation on circular economy, but lately many individuals, institutions, universities, or academia really working on circular economy, because it is something that can tackle the environmental issues. It's aligned with the ESG aspect or environmental social governance metrics, which investors likely see business as like sustainable business. If a business cannot be environmentally sustainable, then investor may be like, maybe we can try to find other options that good at their business, but also good to serve the environment, to not give negative impacts on the environment. It's more attractive for sustainable business these days. So I think we can try to develop these ideas, basic ideas like circular economy and ESG. Aside from that, many best practices in terms of how to tackle or manage environment more sustainable. Just maybe it just different names. However, the principles are actually the same. It's about to save the environment, to tackle the environmental issues, to sustain natural resource for now and future generations. Those paving way in sustainable projects or business practices will uncover many new opportunities, not just in terms of environmental aspects, but also business. Yeah, thank you, Linda.
All right, thanks. Now I want to ask you too, which industries do you think are pioneers in terms of environmental sustainability? And maybe you can also say something about the agricultural thing in Indonesia. So because this is a quite interesting thing, which I think nobody of the participants is aware of, because you're an expert. And yes, I would be really glad to hear something about that too.
Thank you. So, okay, about the pioneers in terms of environmental sustainability. Previously, we might have assumed that environmental sustainability was often related to agriculture or agribusiness, since this sector managed natural resources. However, in my opinion, as the environmental sustainable mindset continues to grow, now I can see that almost all industries implement environmental sustainability. For example, oil and mining, transportation, logistics, communication, health, even like little fashion. We may often heard about sustainable fashion, right? So I don't think only specific industry have to take action on environmental sustainability, because only every action or behavior that we take, either as an individual or as a business manager or business owner, there is an impact on the environment. And about the agriculture in Indonesia, like if I can share with you, the agriculture sector is one of the most largest sector in Indonesia. Therefore, many people really rely on agriculture and natural resources. What we face in here is, of course, unsustainable farming. If you may heard that many farmers are using fertilizers, especially for chemical fertilizers, what they cannot well managing the soil, so that many soil erosions happen or occurred in Indonesia. And there are natural disasters often occurred these days, like it's very unpredictable situations for us. And in terms of unsustainable farming, therefore many people in my country, in Indonesia, supported by the government, we really work hand in hand on how to apply and implement sustainable farming, especially for the rural farmers, because they are lack of, I'm sorry to say, like they may lack access of marketing, they are lacking access of knowledge. Therefore, the governments right now really put attention on young generations to be more aware on agriculture. There are some programs that provide funds for young generations to become farmer, because we are experiencing you know, like many old farmers, but a lack of young farmers. So there are some steps that have taken by the government and supported by the private actually. So aside from to introduce sustainable farming for younger generations, fund them with some money to, you know, like to start their farm. And actually private entities right now also put attention on sustainable agriculture, where they lend some money or even they deliver some funds for younger for younger generations to involve in closed loop agriculture. What does it mean? Closed loop agriculture is we try to manage from the start from the farm to the table in one management. So it's overseen by the private entity. So there are some models for have been applied in here in Indonesia, especially to apply sustainable farming for younger generations. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you very much for this great insights. That's very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
So are there any questions from the participants concerning environmental sustainability? Okay, so if you want to take the chance to ask Dian some questions, you should take it now.
If someone has a question, I have a comment on something that Dian was saying, and also one of the, I mean, we approached the topic of sustainability from the three different aspects. And obviously this is, I don't say it's one problem, but it's like so complex and so interwoven that it does make sense to split it in parts. But at the end, we didn't repeat ourselves because we approached from different sides, but still it's a big thing. And one aspect that that Dian was talking about, and Yulinda asked about, so maybe, like if sustainability is so economically beneficial, how come we are not doing it? So how come people still use plastic? I mean, let's talk about our, like us consumers, we see it, we do it every day. If you want to be sustainable, how easy it is for you to go to supermarket and not bring plastic home. It's not, it's horrible. You go to the supermarket and you see those little, if you see, like when I was doing sustainability mindset and we were having this exercise, go see where lack of sustainability is screaming at you. Just go to the supermarket and count all that single packing plastic that tomorrow, after you open and eat your Mars chocolate, is going to land in the ocean. And it is difficult. And it is difficult for us as individuals to be sustainable. And it's also so difficult for companies to be sustainable. They also cannot. I mean, this is the system. Because they have their processes, they have their people, they have their markets, and what is the worst, they have their financial goals, right? So this is something that what we need from the mindset perspective is this change in the collective mindset, that having more, accumulating more, producing more, consuming more is what makes us happy. First of all, it does not make us happy after 10 minutes after we have eaten that chocolate bar, but it's not gonna make our life more sustainable in no way. What is happening? It's like if you're having the escalator that is going up and you're trying to run down, and you're trying to run down because you're trying to be down. But with our technological process, with the technologies that are having, the only thing that we are achieving, this escalator is going faster and faster and faster. So in order to stay down, we have to run down faster, faster, and faster, right? So this is literally less is more, because it's not the material things, it's not the power, and it's not the conformity that makes us happy. So difficult for governments, difficult for corporates. But this is something that on the level of humanity, we need to get deeper and to get rid of this false beliefs that more is better.
Yeah, if I can add to that, I totally agree to what you're saying, because at the end of the day, the mindset is the most important thing. And this is something which I think is the hardest thing to achieve as well. But I'm in education, and I think that, and I've seen that over the years, and I've seen that with my children as well. And I've seen that with education, with schools, this is where we should actually start really early inculcating this kind of mindset that you're talking about. Because when the child comes home, the child brings that knowledge, brings that awareness, brings that change into their parents, into the way of doing things. I mean, we were living in Scotland when my children were younger. And I remember they just had a very simple system at school there, where the class would benefit from bonus points or color points, different colors, if you walk to school instead of taking the car. So in the morning, it's very cold. You don't want to walk to school. As a parent, you're in a rush, you have to go to work, etc. So I remember my son telling me, no, we have to walk to school. And I was like, no, but I have to go to work afterwards. And then 2-3 times every day ask the same thing. And then after a while, it's just a change of mindset. I wake up a little bit early, get everything ready a bit early, so that at the end of the day, we're able to walk to school, so that he would get this reward of that reward which is attached. But at the same time, he's actually being sustainable in, I didn't use the car, we walked, which was good for our health. We're contributing positively towards the environment. So there were all these elements attached. But this is, and I think this goes back to what you had said earlier on as well. This is a developed country. It's very different. I mean, Mauritius is not a developed country. All right, we aspire to be to work towards having high GDP and everything. But this thing about plastic, about cheap food we get, about all the dumping that happens in Mauritius, why we are not sustainable. I mean, this is the reality that we live all the time here. So, but still, we need to be hopeful and we need to bring the change. But I really think that education is one of the ways to do that.
I mean, what the point that I would like to make, that obviously in poor countries you have plastic. You cannot afford a big bottle of shampoo. You buy little sachets, right? You buy small packaging. You and those multinational companies are earning on that. Some of the companies like Nestle, Unilever, Procter & Gamble, they brand themselves. Back to the point of Diane, that's good for branding. They brand themselves as sustainable companies, and at the same time, they are the biggest contributor to the problem. And it's not like if we educate our children to walk to school, obviously, hopefully that helps them to develop sustainability mindset. But if the economies, if the multinational companies who are making millions on creating the problem, sustaining the problem, making it bigger, then no matter that we all just walk, we all will not walk, because they will still fly with their private jets to COP27 and COP28. You know, and this is where, like, this is why we cannot solve it. And sometimes I get really frustrated when I start thinking about the scales, that probably we are not, like, we're doing some, what's the new term for that? Greenwashing. You know, so the mindset, if they were having that green mindset, they would pass some laws that would make plastic or garbage or meat you know, like so expensive that we just eat it like once a month because it pollutes the earth, it destroys the earth. Or for companies to produce plastic so prohibitively expensive that they have two choices, either to go to sustainable packaging or go out of business. But it's not happening. So, I mean, hopefully we develop some technologies, but again, the technologies should not be the loophole out of doing, you know, not of contributing even more to the problem, rather than to a solution.
Yeah.
This is our deepest
add?
psychological drives. We want more. We want more. This is something that we as civilization have developed as a belief. I only can be happy if I get more. I only can be happy if I have more power. That's where the wars are coming. That's where the inequality are coming. This is where discrimination is coming. So we can, you know, say, okay, we're doing something. We have the chief sustainability officer. Does it solve the problem? So my contribution is I help promote the sustainability mindset, and from the, you know, like project management and coaching perspective, I encourage people on their scale to think systemically and to think in the matter of their contribution and to develop values that put them in the space of contributing to solution rather than contributing to a problem.
Thank you. And Diane, I think you wanted to comment something.
Yeah, thank you, Mariana. I really agree with Natalia and Neve. What's become their concerns actually become our concerns so far. But yeah, I had an interesting discussion a couple of years ago with a person working in sustainability in a multinational company with regards to how far the sustainability, especially environmental sustainability, have been acted or conducted by the company. And she said that, well, in terms, there are several things that we can really save or save in terms of how to reduce the negative impacts on the environment. However, also there are some works in progress. Say, for example, in their operating, in their operation, they can save up to 30% of energy. Means they actually can save the environment from using more coals. But in terms of the packaging, it is work in progress. I think I really agree with Neve and Natalia. First, we have to having a growth mindset for any sustainability aspects, especially for in the environment. And second is we really have to really work hard to make it happen. It's not just a white paper or just a, you know, like an agreement, say like for the COP agreement, but we have to really work on it. Especially on our daily basis as an individual. Thank you, Mariana.
Thank you, Diane. And one interesting discussion is on chat. So we are finding if young people understand sustainability or not. So let's say there are different opinions about that. And Lee commented, I nominate Natalia as global coordinator for sustainability. So congratulations. I would like to ask if there are any more questions. Otherwise, we will begin to close the session. Grace, you raised the hand, please.
Hi, I think it's really been an engaging session. I just like to add, I think I'm talking from experience and my work in the housing sector years ago. We're developing something around building sustainable housing in my country. It was born out of, I found myself there because it was born out of my desire to see sustainable housing, low income housing for the poor, using really sustainable equipment. And throughout my research, I actually finally did in my thesis. I took it as a thesis topic for my undergraduates, and that was around using stabilized mud bricks for housing. Well, during my research, I found out that the building materials we've been using around my region has not actually been sustainable. One, they don't solve our problems, our unique contextual problems, which is because we live in a temperate region, and the region, the kind of building materials we use don't help cool our environment. Rather, they add more temperature within the housing. And I looked at a couple of laws and I looked at a couple of regulations, and I found that a lot of those regulations were skewed in favor of the big shots, the people in manufacturing, people who import this materials for building. And it would probably be interesting to you to know that one of the richest men in Nigeria actually became rich through providing some of the building materials like cement and all of that in favor against using the more sustainable material, which is mud bricks that we have around us. And so I found in the regulation that the building code in my country actually favors the use of cement, which is gotten from limestone, and isn't really sustainable for our region. It's not helping, and the houses don't, when you look around, you see most of the houses that have been built over the years, they don't, probably after 5 years, you see them begin to deteriorate. Against the more sustainable material, which is the mud bricks, those can stay for years. We've seen ancient cities within my region, you know, ancient walls still standing because they use sustainable materials. So what am I trying to drive out? Just like the panelists have said, I think in all, the goal for the reason why these unsustainable materials keep finding their way to our market is because it's bringing income to a lot of big shots. It's making a lot of people richer and against the well-being of a lot of people. Again, another example, I recently moved to a city away from the more commercial city in my country. And I found out that for everything I've ordered, the packaging have been sustainable materials. And these things I've ordered have not been from the big companies like Natalia, I guess, mentioned. They have been from SMEs and small and startups. Their packaging are really sustainable. Paper bags, and I was taken aback, right? This is a capital city. Where I was coming from was a more commercial city and like the richest city in Nigeria, I would say. But at no point had I ever ordered anything or driving to the supermarket or shopping mall and gotten anything, and I had a packaging that was probably a paper bag. It was all plastics. And so my question was then, there hasn't been a regulation change that says people should begin to use sustainable materials for packaging. But here I am in a city, I guess it goes back to the question of, do our children understand sustainability? Generation Z is already taking the charge and they're already thinking towards sustainability. They're small, medium enterprises are using more sustainable materials against the generation, probably Y and behind, who have been the big shots over time, the richest in the world, have the biggest companies and are still using materials that are really not sustainable. And so who are the forward thinkers here? I believe they are the children we're actually talking of. They are the ones who would eventually, you know, inherit this world. And I believe that the times are changing and people are turning towards sustainability, but there's more to be done when it comes to the issue of regulation, I believe, just like the panelists have said. My apologies for the noise. My baby is around.
Thank you, Grace. Thank you for your perspective on this. Does anyone else would like to share something with us? Oh, Priya would like to finish already. And you are on mute, Priya, sorry.
No, you go ahead. Continue the discussion.
Okay. So if no one would like to share anything with us, it is, I guess, time that we wrap it up. And Linda and I thank all the panelists for joining today and answer all the questions. Share your wisdom and the future direction in terms of enabling leadership for sustainability. I hand over the word to Grace now. She will also thank our panelists. Thank you.
Thank you, awesome panelists. The discussion has really been enriching. I just wish we would have probably this session again next year. I think it's the end of the year and probably people are fagged out from attending so many events. Attendance are usually in the tens. I don't know what happened today. I think it's the end of the year and everybody just trying to find a way to go have a rest. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. The discussions have, it's wonderful. And so we'll be, my apologies. This is to thank Navidita Parag Marai, sorry if I didn't get your name right, in recognition of your valuable time and expertise you shared with our esteemed delegates at our events. Thank you so much. Please accept this token as our form of appreciation. Thank you.
And we have few more. Grace, please do the honors.
Okay. Natalia, thank you so much. Please accept this as a token of our appreciation. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable time with us and your wealth of knowledge. Babe. Okay, this goes to Diane, Juanita. Thank you so much for sharing your wealth of knowledge. We do appreciate. We hope we'll see you sometime next year, 2023, for another insightful panel discussion. Thank you so much. Kindly accept this as a token of our appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, also from my side.
Yes. All right, then it's time to wrap up, Mariana and Linda. And thank you, panelists, for your wonderful words of wisdom. All attendees, thanks for joining in. And Mariana and Linda, great job with the moderation. And this was the last event of the year. So we will be back again in February 2023. Again, with I'm hoping with a big bang. Yeah, hopefully people will be rejuvenated and energized and be back here again. So thank you very much. See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
very much.
Thank you very much.